Let's move on to our final subject of the evening, and that is talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, who again have had another player injured in their wide receiver, Rashee Rice, in their win against the Chargers, which was 17-10. He's been carted off. Reported torn ACL, potentially season ending. Hasn't fully been accounted for yet how long he may be out. Coach Andy Reid, has said it is not looking good. So far this year, they've beat the Ravens 27-20. They then beat the Bengals 26-25, 22-17 against the Falcons, and 17-10 against the Chargers. Not exactly looked like the convincing Kansas City Chiefs team that we are used to, Johnny. And now without Rashee Rice moving forward for, we don't know how long yet, but suspicious. It's suspected to be a long time. I mean, are the Chiefs going to overcome that? They've not looked great so far.
Yeah, I mean, you can never write off the Chiefs. Obviously, our thoughts with Rashee Rice, but yeah, it's looking really difficult, isn't it? Because Rice has been the engine, I suppose, to the Chiefs' passing offense. So early in this season, he's been, the one with the most yards, most targets. Has done the most things, I think, for the Chiefs in terms of, they've had a fairly quiet, for their standard, start to the year, but Rice has looked elevated, I suppose, on his work in his rookie year. His ability to win off the line, and his production after the catch, I think, has been a huge part of why the Chiefs have been so successful. Because I think in this game we saw mistakes from Mahomes, some of the other receivers, and if you look around the field, Travis Kelce is obviously not having a great start to the year. He looks like, he could potentially be winding down. We don't want to say anything, but he could be, winding down.
He had a pretty good game in this game, though, didn't he?
Yes, he did. No, he did. That is true. But he's not been. If Rice stayed in this game, I would have expected Rice to have been, taking plays off Kelce. If you look around the roster, they're obviously, David Worthy had a good game, and we hope he can develop, in Rice's absence. But other than that, Marquise Brown, who is, I think, a decent receiver, particularly, and could be a really good weapon for the Chiefs. He's obviously out until I think he might be out for the rest of this season as well. Isaiah Pacheco is another big name who is out. I'm not sure.
Their offense at the minute leaves them with Xavier Worthy, Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman, with a running back room, Samaje Perine. They've brought in Kareem Hunt and the rookie Carson Steele. I mean, and obviously they've got Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, and they've got that other tight end as well, whose name's escaping me. I know it looks like it doesn't look like much, but hasn't Pat Mahomes done more with less?
He has, and that's the only thing that you can obviously never write off the Chiefs. Mahomes is able to do it with I think it was just Valdez-Scantling and Smith-Schuster is his primary targets. But I think this. I mean, the Chiefs are undefeated. They have got their. I had the Chargers down for this game. I didn't actually realise, Joe Alt was a late pullout for the game for the Chargers, and you could see how dominant the defense looked. And I think they are going to grow as the season goes on. I think Chris Jones is looking his usual best. George Karlaftis as well is looking like a really good edge rusher. I think this is his third season. Can he turn into one of the premier edge rushers in the league? I think they're going to be relying on the defense a lot this year. So I think,
but the defense has proved that, though. The defense has proved that in previous seasons.
Exactly,
they can be relied upon. They're so good.
Exactly, and I think it's going to be the same again this year. Patrick Mahomes is obviously the best player, in the league, if not, certainly in the last, perhaps of all time. They, can obviously do so much with whatever's around him. he can produce magic, but it will be, I think, the defense that can really save them in those situations. It's obviously a huge loss, but because it's the Kansas City Chiefs, it's probably not reason to be overly panic stations. I think at this stage is what I'm trying to say.
My big thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we've said it on previous pods, and I'm going to carry on reiterating it, they do not care about this time of the season. They don't care. All the Chiefs are focused on is getting a playoff spot. They don't need to win the division. They're not bothered about winning the division, I don't even think. I don't even think they're bothered about playing silky great football anymore. I think all they care about is getting to the playoffs and going, then we'll just turn it on and do what we do best. And, the Bengals have had them close. Several teams have had them close now. But they find a way. They always find a way. And let's say Rice is out for the rest of the season. In Mahomes' mind, I think he just sees it as, well, now I've got 13 more weeks to just build my relationship with Xavier Worthy, with the rest of the guys. He knows Juju, he knows McCall Hardman, he knows Sky Moore for that fact, and Kelce. Kelce is also one of them players who doesn't care about now. They care about week 16, 17, when they're getting towards the playoffs, and then switching it on going into the playoffs. So I do think this is going to be lost. I mean, Rashee Rice was even after going down this game, he's still 10th in receptions, 12th in yards, and it was showing an incredible season. Obviously there was issues in the offseason where he may not play at all, and for some people's minds, he shouldn't have been playing at all this season. But that is the NFL, unfortunately. So it did look on course that he was going to have probably the best season of his career so far, anyway, and maybe even been a top 5 receiver at some point in some arguments. Maybe on the stat sheet wise, anyway. I think still people have the eye test with these players anyway. But I mean, is it foolish that teams and fans maybe look around this and think that KC are now incredibly beatable because their offense is so patchwork? Or do you think everyone's quite astute to the fact that this is still the Kansas City Chiefs? But also, does it give hope to some of these teams? Some of these teams may roll into the Kansas now, or Kansas comes to them and go, well, we can outplay this offense. Our defense is really good, and it may. Do you think it encourages teams?
The Kansas City Chiefs are, the team to beat. So, I don't think one player makes them. I mean, obviously, it certainly makes them weaker in terms of the weapons and the players that they have. But in terms of I think what's different this year, I think the sort of changing of the guard. Obviously, Rashee Rice has been, he's now looking as in the number one guy in terms of the target on this offense. And the Chiefs have scraped through, these opening games, which we've not seen a dominant performance from this season. I think every single game, they could have technically lost if a possession went the other way. So I do think they're beatable, but I think you make a really good point in terms of they don't need to win this division. I think they can win this division even still with their eyes closed. The Broncos, okay, they have possibly one of the best defenses in the league at the moment, but we saw against the Jets that they can't get anything going offensively at the moment. The Raiders are still a long way off, and obviously the Chargers, who they beat, if they can just get to the postseason, I think
the problem with the Chargers is his fitness, isn't it? At the minute, exactly. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater, Joe, these are key players. Can't stay
absolutely.
Fit.
We saw the Chargers. Their offensive line has now become their massive, huge weapon. We see how it's revolutionized their run game, and how much Herbert got beaten up against the Chiefs at the weekend. Yeah, they obviously need that unit to stay fit, which is unlikely if you go off historic of the last few seasons. I think the Chiefs are beatable, but No, it doesn't really matter at this stage of the season. Like you say, will the Chiefs go out and try and trade for a big name wideout? You know, Amari Cooper's someone who's been, I think
Devontae Adams is also a name
Devontae
out there. That's
Adams,
yeah.
Johnny
I mean,
Hopkins.
I just can't see that. I just don't think
Yeah,
that's how they play.
exactly. It's not their style. It's not how the team is built. I mean, it would be great, I think, for the neutral to see, Mahomes playing with. I think Rasheed Rice was, obviously becoming the new Tyreek. Imagine him coming back. I mean, obviously he's obviously not very happy at the moment in Miami. But it's not essential. People were saying that the Chiefs were better, without Tyreek Hill, and they could find something in Rasheed Rice going down. I think Andy Reid said today that they're going to be looking to spread the ball across the targets. Can they try and unlock the potential of players like Sky Moore? Obviously, Noah Gray mentioned the tight end. He had some good plays, I think, at the weekend. They've got receivers who have played a bit part role, I think, over the last couple of years. Who they've probably, Sky Moore, I remember, was a high second round pick, and he's done next to nothing really in his NFL career so far. Yeah,
He'll catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl now.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Not quite nothing, but yeah, the Chiefs are still the team that everyone's chasing. They're 4-0, obviously, for a reason. It's incredibly hard to win games in this division, so they're obviously doing something right. But yeah, they're yeah, it is a huge loss, but I think it would be a huge loss, or a bigger loss, sorry, for other teams in the league if it wasn't Kansas City Chiefs.
The problem is, we keep saying it is the Kansas City Chiefs, isn't it? Like that is the problem. Is that they've been in this position before. They've been with their backs up against the wall, and they always come out fighting and always come out winning Super Bowls, which is obviously incredibly irritating for the rest of the NFL. So we'll see how they go moving forward.